Hey ladies and gentlemen, Wolf Crier here, and welcome to Diablo 3 Basics, my video series in which I try to enlighten new players, returning players, and veterans alike. So this video is going to be all about bounties. What are bounties? What specific legendaries can only be found through doing bounties, and what those materials are used for that you gain only through doing these as well. So let's start off with the basics. What are bounties in Diablo 3? Well, in adventure mode, acts 1 through 5 each contain 5 quests, 5 bounty quests. And when you complete all the quests in each act, you are given a Herodric cache, which is your rewards for doing those bounties. And you can gain up to 5 Herodric caches per game by completing all 25 quests. Now, the level of the gear and the amount of mats that are in these are decided on the difficulty of when you do them. But the character class that these items are for is decided once you open them. And when you open up these Herodric caches after completing the bounties, you are given DBs, legendaries, blood shards, crafting materials, including crafting materials that can only be obtained through the bounties. And each act has its own bounty material. For instance, Act 1 is the Kandar Rune. Act 2 is Chaldeum Nightshade. Act 3 is the Ariat War Tapestry. Act 4 is that Corrupted Angel Flesh. And Act 5 is the Westmarch Holy Water. And these materials are used for 2 major recipes in Kanai's Cube. The first one being the Archive of Tel Rasha, which is extract legendary power. This is what allows you to assign a power to that cube slot. You put in the item with the legendary affix and one of each of these materials and transmute it, and now you have that available for your cube. This does take away that initial item that you put in. And the other one is the Law of Cool. Reforge Legendary. This is what allows you to take a crappy non-ancient legendary and try to turn it into an ancient or at least a better weapon, or perhaps even one of those epic primals. You take your legendary item and you add 5 of each of these mats as well as 50 Forgotten Souls, and boom, it re-rolls the stats completely like a brand new item. I personally primarily use this for weapons and maybe jewelry in order to roll the best rolls that I can onto these pieces of gear, the harder pieces of gear to obtain really, really good rolls. The other thing that these Herodric caches have, besides materials, are specific legendary items that can only be obtained through these Herodric caches. And each one can only appear in certain acts. So let's take a look at those legendaries. Act 1 legendaries. These can only be found in Act 1 Herodric caches. Golden Gorget of Leoric, Mad Monarch's Scepter, Pauldrons of the Skeleton King, Ring of Royal Grandeur. Now this ring is very, very useful, and it is used in multiple builds. This is that ring that allows you to wear one less piece of a set and still gain the full set bonus. Another thing that is used primarily for Thorns builds are the Sanguinary Van Braces, and can only be acquired through bounty completions. Now, for Act 2, we have the Cloak of Deception, Coven's Criterion, Gloves of Worship, which are those shrine gloves for the Shrine Monk, and then we have Illusory Boots. Now, these are used on ZDPS characters, support class characters like that Support Monk and the Support Barb, and these allow those support characters to move freely through enemy mobs. And once again, these can only be found in Act 2 bounties. Now for Act 3, we have the Avarice Band, very useful for speed farming, Nephilim Rifts, those type of builds, gold farming builds, and that type of thing. Avarice Band comes in handy because it sucks in all the gold around you once you start picking up gold. Then we have Boots of Disregard, Burst of Wrath, Envious Blade, Insatiable Belt, and Overwhelming Desire. Now I personally use Overwhelming Desire on my followers usually because that allows them to charm an enemy and you gain 35% additional damage against that enemy that is charmed, which is pretty cool. Nice little damage boost. I usually use either that or the World Drop S of Johan, so Overwhelming Desire and Avarice Band are the two best Act 3 legendaries that can be found only by doing bounties. Now, Act 4 can contain any of the legendaries from any act. This is the only one that does not have its own set list of drops. Instead, it compiles all of the other acts and can drop items from there. Then for Act 5, we have Death's Bargain, Hell Trapper, Pandemonium Loop, Salvation, and Soul Smasher. So those are the items that can only be obtained through those caches. So if you were looking for a Ring of Royal Grandeur out in the world, it cannot be gotten there. It can only be gotten in bounty caches. So that is why people do bounties. Between that and re-rolling their legendaries as well as extracting stuff for the cube. Bounties are very, very useful. They are tedious at times, especially the more you want to do them, but they are very useful. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. And thank you so very much for checking out this video. I greatly appreciate it. And you guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments what you think of this video. And you guys have a great day. Peace.